All right. What's up, everybody? Okay, so I've lost access to your Twitter page.
Live. That's fine.
I've lost access to your.
Okay, YouTube is on. Let me turn
All
that
right.
down.
All right. What's up, everybody? So Debonair for our season finale of season 2, episode 20 of Affairs of the Heart podcast. Again, I'm your boy Dwayne Q, and we have always got over here to my
So they're in here in the building. What's going on, guys?
we decided to go ahead and do a different spin on our podcast as usual, which is basically do a live version. See, if you guys are going to tune in, what you want, how you want to do it. Talk about what we have done in the past as far as our podcast is concerned. Talk about this season. And I know I look really white. I feel like a ghost. This is the worst.
Like I stole all the color.
Right. Like when you have an Android, when you have an Apple, like this is what this looks like. It's terrible. But we want you guys to go ahead and comment any comments that you send, whether you're watching us on Facebook, whether you're watching us on YouTube, and whether you're watching us on Twitter. Go ahead. Any of the comments you have, we'll pop them in. This is your episode. Whatever you want to talk about. If you're fans, whatever you loved about season 2. If you have not been fans and you don't know anything about the podcast, then we're definitely here to introduce it to you. We are Affairs of the Heart. We talk about everything that is LGBTQ related, specifics on the G, but from a gay male perspective. We talk about love. We talk about life, and most of all, we talk about sex. And so we just want to, introduce ourselves. But this is our season finale. We talked a lot of stuff in season 2. Yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff in season 2. So Aaron's gonna get to that a little bit later. Somebody's commenting already, Aaron, on Facebook, and they asked if you were Spike Lee's young son. I like that.
I see it. That could be a possibility. I'm not really sure yet.
Who knows?
The DNA test has not been. And we're going to be on Maury Povich in a few weeks.
All right. So, again, welcome to the Affairs of the Heart season finale, season 2, episode 20. Again, I'm your boy DQ. We've got So Debonair, and we're going to talk about. Let's get into it. Let's go. What are we doing?
So, I guess we're going to start with just recapping the show. And from episode 1 all the way to this actual episode. I'm scrolling while we're talking.
Here we go
on the reviews. But our first episode was blocking your past on social media. What is dating? And I'm confused. This is probably like a personal one for me.
Was it one of your episodes?
It was like a personal episode for me because we started off talking about a lot of dating, and really what it is. I think that a lot of the conversation from the beginning was me coming out of my marriage into dating and how crazy that was or whatever. What's going on, Q1973?
Thank you.
That's one of our faithful. He writes our dissertations for our YouTube channel.
A dissertation. He writes our dissertation. So we appreciate you listening to you. So the first episode was yours, right? It was your first episode. That first episode was really about you.
Yeah, it was basically, me asking about dating. What is it? What does it look like? And I think y'all traveled me dating throughout this whole season, or me trying to figure out if I am dating or not. And so
this was a season pretty much about your personal life.
Yeah, I think towards the end we started to get into you a little bit more because of Christy.
Yes, Christy.
Yeah, a lot of it was, I had some emotional breakdowns during this season. But yes, I was just asking, what is dating? And I think we started out talking about blocking your past, and I was giving my experience on, me getting rid of my relationship and, the process that I've been through. And I think I was just talking about, I had to start, my life had started picking up at that time. I just got a new car, a full-time job, a new place. So life was just looking great. It was New Year's Day, I think, or the Eve.
I think that was our first episode. Yeah.
So it was the beginning of everything, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, and you know what? Now thinking about the episode, we were so optimistic about what 2020 was going to hold.
Yeah,
I think we were talking about,
you were talking about love. Here and
yeah, we were so optimistic about what 2020 was going to be. It was going to be a year of love. It was going to be a year of life. It was going to be a year of adventure. All this different stuff. And here
wealth.
Yeah, no, year of wealth. And here we are sitting in the house.
Yeah. In coronavirus.
Right.
But I mean, honestly, if I can just say this, I think that this was a part of my health because I love this time of being able to rest. It's given me time to really focus on my business, and even with the podcast, it's given us time to really talk to the people who inbox us and leave us reviews and email us. So I mean, it's really been the health part has been going pretty well. And then also with the wealth part, I think that that's also going well too for me, I can say, because I've taken this time to start building my website business a little bit more than normal. And towards the end of the show, we have a little surprise for you guys with the website and some new other ventures that we're going to be taking. But I've been able to really just start saving and start really building my finances for this upcoming year, because we do have a lot of things that we want to do when it comes to the podcast. I have a lot of things that I want to do when it comes to my business, my website business. If you guys that are watching out there, if y'all have a business, y'all need a website, please hit me up, aklcreations.com. Flyers, logos, whatever it is, I'm down for it. I'm down to help you build that. Also, I'm working on doing some digital and social media marketing. So health and wealth. I said it, I'm doing it.
You said it, you was doing it. I love that. That makes perfect sense. I mean, I think both of us, for that aspect, have kind of like ventured into what we were going to do for the year. For me, I started, I had been sitting on my company for over a year. I've been sitting on the fact that I didn't know what I was going to do with Swank Arts and Entertainment. Right. And this gave me the perfect opportunity to just kind of branch into it, do some interviews, and kind of steer the direction of where my company wanted to go. So I think we both did the same exact thing. We were in the season of the year that we needed to do what we needed to do it for. So
kudos. Commenting on episode 1 of season 2, and the question was dating. What is it? And the people who have been following the podcast, how do y'all think I've been doing in dating, listening to the podcast?
We got a comment from Omar Carroll. He said, I just started listening to y'all this year. I have certainly enjoyed listening and learning. I'm glad. Shout out to Omar. I think we learned a lot about each other.
Yeah.
But I think one of the main things about our podcast is that we really wanted to make sure that it wasn't just hearsay. I mean, we do research. We, things that we know specifically about, we talk about. And if we don't know anything about it, we research on it. So,
and I think that we've also been help to each other when it's coming into this situation and dating and things like that, because it's like we're such the balance to each other. It's like where you're strong at, I'm very weak at, and then vice versa. Yeah. It's like we really balance each other out when it comes to the topics. I'm the wild child, and you're like, calm down, child.
I'm like, okay, bring it back a little bit, bring it back. Okay, so what was episode 2?
So episode 2 was dating trends, talking dirty, and my sex playlist, and what happens after you masturbate.
Yeah, for those, if I have family on here, I'm sorry in advance.
We're on Facebook and other platforms, so the podcast is a little bit more raw than I think we should be on here.
But you know what? I also
keep it cute.
Yeah, I'll say this though. Like, one of the things that we talk about very often is that for Black gay men, there was or just, I mean, the LGBTQ community in general, there is not a sex ed class, like a gay sex ed class. There isn't, we kind of have to figure out who we are on our own through trial and error.
Right.
Some of that then becomes promiscuous behavior. Some of that becomes, we venture into a lot of different things to figure out who we are. And so, unfortunately, a lot of the times, it's good experiences, it's bad experiences, but we don't have anybody to tell, us how to grow up or how to deal with our lives in that aspect. And I think that was one of the main purposes for our podcast, is that we wanted to make sure that, the generations that are coming behind us knew, somebody has gone through some of the experiences that they have gone through. Somebody has dealt with some of the things that they've dealt with. And we talk about it candidly, because I think also a lot of the times we tend to try to shun it. We try to hide it. We don't want to talk about it. We want to talk about the escapades that we've dealt with sexually. We don't want to talk about the escapades that we've dealt with in other areas and aspects of our lives. And so I think that's also the purpose why we decided to start the podcast. And because we only do the podcast on, the podcast platforms and YouTube, this being on a broader scale, like on Facebook and on Twitter and so on and so forth, we want to make sure that people understand why we're here.
Yeah. And I think that's what you just said is really funny, because it's like, when it comes to us and sex or whatever, it's very a taboo situation. But we also grown up, a lot of us grew up knowing that Papa was a Rolling Stone. And so, it's like, if I'm able to be that person, or if we're able to be those people, I'm okay with that. If the younger generation, because just looking at what is it called? When you look at the numbers and the demographics of the show, we do have a younger the younger generation that are watching it. It's like the second highest number. And I think that, that's why I also try to be very careful about some things that I say. Because although I'm giving you my experiences, I want you to learn from them, not experience those things too, So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think the funniest part of that episode was the dirty talk, and you.
What did I say? I know I said something crazy.
Like, so are we gonna do it like this? Are we gonna do it like that? And it was like, I'm like, Dwayne, that's not dirty talk.
So, okay, I am not, disclosing all things I can. I am not as we've talked about on the podcast, I'm not a sexual, like I don't like to talk during sex. I don't like to have to tell you what I think it is and how, all that kind of great. No, I'm not a just sign. Just DQ, are you a dirty I'm not at all. I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm concentrating. I'm making sure you're okay. There's a lot happening. And so
sometimes they need a little instructions.
No. Now, Aaron, on the other hand, tell everybody what you.
Oh no, I was just saying. I think that sometimes it's a good thing, because sometimes you need to instruct them on what feels good and what doesn't feel good.
Yes, but we don't need to have a long discussion.
It's a sexy way to do it while you're doing it. And I think for the other topics, y'all got to listen to the podcast, because I'm not doing that. I don't know if my mom's watching.
Right.
But there were some other topics on that one that definitely you guys should check that podcast out. Also, I think we had tried to give out a sex playlist, but I couldn't really get it out on that. I think I did it on the YouTube channel. I gave out, the songs that I have on my list. And if you want to just DM me, I'll give it to you. How about that?
So we also had a conversation about music and
yes.
Because I told this story, and I God knows, I hope my mother is not watching. But I can, and you know what? No, she can watch, because I've shared this with her and we've had a laugh about it. But I can't do music and sex. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. There are particular songs that I don't like. Specifically, SWV's "Weak." I can't stand it for various reasons. But we'll leave that there. Are you playing the song? You're so disrespectful. You're so disrespectful.
Okay, so let's go to episode 3. Okay, episode 3 was definitely another me podcast.
So, is there a trend where these podcasts are really good?
Every other one was like me, and then it was like a real podcast. It was like a Aaron episode, like, you know, it was just back and forth. But the third one was Pathological Liars, Dating a Virgo, Kissing, and What is Booty Cream?
Oh, is that episode? Ooh.
If you want to hear about the booty cream, listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
I think that was just really, for this one, I really was just giving out what it is like to date a Virgo. I think that we are one of a kind when it comes to dating, because we love extremely hard. And when we are into someone, it's really hard for us to get there, and then we have to come back down from it. And so I think that we talk about pathological liars, and I think that someone had lied to me that week.
No, you know what? I can tell you exactly what it was. Your ex.
That's fine. I know what it was now. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I just want to make sure you knew.
Tune into that episode if you want to hear about that. So let's go.
We got a couple of comments. Jason is really in on the comments, and make sure you can type in comments. We'll get them. We'll plaster them on the screen. We want to interact with you guys, so if you're listening to us and you want to comment, please don't hesitate to comment. Jason has a feeling about that, so we'll leave it at there. Also about his musical playlist.
Yes, I mean, I have a whole list, so if y'all want, I will send it to you. Especially if you're on Tidal, I can actually send it to you, but I can screenshot what I have on there if you want that. So let's go to the next episode, which was Open Relationships, 11 sex questions for men that have sex with men. I don't really remember that episode like that, honestly.
I remember because
11 sex questions.
Yeah. I remember that episode. Again, I'm really vanilla. As light as I am, I don't even know this poor camera, but I'm very vanilla. So a lot of this stuff, I'll be like, no, it's not me. Aaron, on the other hand, I got a story about that. I can tell you about it.
I'll probably tell 11 stories.
Right. The whole season has been nothing but your stories.
The next episode, we're going to skip that one. Listen to it. I'm not giving out that thing.
What was the title?
I don't want to say it. Actually, so it was, what do you prefer to call a man's ass?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, well, good job. You did that well, friend. Sheesh.
So the next episode was Big Dick Bottoms in the Bathhouse.
Okay, but you'll say that, and we'll say the other one. Okay, that's fine.
Well, because that other one was explicit. This one was just about my story in front of the abandoned house, and then also we were talking about bathhouses, huh?
With the tall grass.
Yeah, with the tall grass, yes. We were talking about bathhouses and experiences about bathhouses, and it not really always being a sexual thing.
Yeah,
because it is. It originally was a spa, but a lot of times when people go in there, they don't go in there for sex. There's pools in there, there's saunas in there, and it just depends on the time of day you go.
Yeah.
So that was the conversation for that. Next episode is a meltdown from me.
Another meltdown for you? If you're just joining us, guys, we're recapping season 2's episodes on Affairs of the Heart, our podcast.
It was Fuck Valentine's Day.
Ooh-wee. Okay, can we pause right here for this episode? Because that episode, Aaron.
I had an entire meltdown.
There was a lot, but there was a lot though. There was a lot.
It was like it was just everything was just hitting me at the same time because we also had talked about HIV and people bashing people about it, and it was a lot.
Yeah, that episode for me, honestly, was, a defining moment for us. Because it really.
I was in tears. So.
Yeah. So for those of you that's episode 5?
Yeah.
That episode, if you listen to episode 5 from the season, we really had a moment. And I don't know if you mind if I share. I won't go in great detail, but I'll share.
Actually, that's episode 7.
Oh, it was episode 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so episode 7 was F Valentine's Day and HIV, and it kind of cemented our dynamic for me because you really have very strong feelings around people who bash others that are HIV positive.
Yes, absolutely.
And you really have, you really showed your emotion for that episode. Like you really, in having the conversation about people that bash others, that are HIV positive, we both stand strong. I think it also stemmed from, I supported one of our followers who has a t-shirt line that, promotes getting tested, promotes, people being undetectable. And the t-shirt that I had said HIV positive and it had undetectable in the lettering. Right. And a lot of people wrote in, a lot of people were just kind of questioning, my status and things of that nature. And so we decided to have a conversation surrounding HIV and if it's proper to share your status. When is it proper to share your status? What is someone that is newly diagnosed? How do they deal with life? What do they go through? I talked about the stages that you go through when people become positive. And so that was it was a rough, while you were having your own separate meltdown about your Valentine's Day situation. It was also a tough episode to kind of have the conversation surrounding the topic of HIV. Someone asked, Jason asked, where do we find the podcast? So really quick, we'll pause and let everybody know. You'll see our website is scrolling down at the bottom, theaffairsoftheheartpodcast.com. That'll send you to our website and then also give you all of the links for all of our podcast platforms. So if you want to binge listen.
But we are on every major streaming platform that you can listen to a podcast on. So
yeah. So the easiest way is go to the website, look for whatever your streaming podcast is, whether it's Apple or iHeartRadio or Google Play or what have you. You'll find the link there, and then it'll take you directly.
Spotify, Pandora, we're on everything.
Yeah, we're on everything. All right. So how was that episode? Now, talk about your meltdown if you feel like it. If you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. But talk about your Valentine's Day meltdown.
My meltdown was basically, I have been dealing with someone, and we had been talking about dating this entire time, and I guess I was introduced to someone and we were dealing with each other or whatever, and we were hanging out, and I think every episode, I was trying to figure out what was it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I kept on asking. I think I kept asking you, how, like, not to, so that I don't go into a different direction in my feelings. But it's the more that we were hanging out, the more that I just really couldn't control it. And so it got to the point where, Valentine's Day happened and, I had made some plans or whatever. And then the plans fell apart or something. I really don't remember what the reasoning was or whatever. You can listen to the podcast and find out what it was. But I just didn't handle it very well. So, that's just really what.
That's really the bottom. And that's that on that.
And that's that on that. Right. So,
a total meltdown.
I cringe when I listen to that episode.
Really? Really? Do you dislike the way that you portrayed, or did you? I mean, those were your honest feelings. That's really how you felt.
But I think that was probably even for you when you say that you feel like that was the episode where we really, became a team or whatever. And that's when people from the podcast really started realizing, like, this is some real shit.
They were like, "Oh,
like this is really happening right now."
Yeah.
You know? Because as we were talking, and we weren't even really talking about that situation, but the more you were, as we were talking about one of your friends, and the scenario was the same. It's all coming back. As you were talking, I'm like, well, wait a minute now. This sounds like what I'm going through right now. And I don't think I was in my feelings, but I wasn't really in my feelings.
Yeah.
The more you were talking, the more it was just like, it was like just picking at me. And I was like, I had a meltdown. So
yeah,
that episode, I never listened to that one ever again.
Yeah, I think we had a lot of it was a heated conversation on both aspects of that particular episode. What's episode 8?
Episode 8 is Swallow or Spit. We'll leave that for the podcast. And then, am I asking for too much?
Am I asking for
and I
too
think
much?
this is probably like a piggyback on the episode before.
Was this a continuation? It was just a continuation of the other.
Probably, because I think that at that time, I was just trying to figure out, or when we're dating, like, do you feel like you're asking for too much when it comes to your standards of in a dating perspective, or even trying to date? Like, do you feel like you want too much, or you're asking for too much out of an individual?
Yeah, and I think also, for people to kind of preface it, the situation.
And I think that was a Twitter question too.
Say it again.
That was actually a Twitter question too, actually.
I think to preface it, the situation, I think you had, for people to know that you were married, and then, your first boyfriend was also the person you married, and then now you're having to like navigate the relationship or the dating aspect of life, separately, and trying to figure that out for you. Yeah.
Right. So I think there was just a piggyback off of that, but it was a time for me to learn. And I think I started that conversation on Twitter, and we ended up talking about it on the podcast. I think we read off some other responses off of that one. And so the next episode is seeking closure and are you dominant or submissive? I think me and you, we talked about this on the show, but then on YouTube, we kind of went at it about this.
What happened?
Because I think with the dominance thing, for me, I don't mind dominance as long as it's like a give and take situation.
Yeah.
Like if I'm dominant in certain areas and you're not, we can switch off. But I also just like that, you know what I mean? That for me, that's something that I actually look for. And you weren't really down for that, so.
I'm trying to remember why. I mean, well, I think
like 11 episodes later, so things have changed.
Sure. Yeah. I think that I just don't. I think to me, dominance displays an aggressive type behavior, and I'm not the type of person that needs like an aggressive mass, like just gotta be like, let me do, and I'm gonna. Say it again.
Dominance doesn't mean aggressive.
I understand that, but to me, it does. In most cases in dating, I think a lot of the times people get, when they say aggressive, with the dominance, it also comes with a level of, for lack of a better term, and I'm sorry for whoever's watching, but like bitching you out or like making you, the submissive or the lesser of.
I think you're talking about sexual dominance.
Not even. It doesn't even have to be. It's not even sexual. It's just an aggressive behavior that I don't click with. See, this is why we had the conversation to begin with, because
I don't look at dominance like that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying for that.
But our next episode was with Kiever West.
Oh, we love Kiever.
I'm not going to say the name of that episode, but that was a really good episode. We actually talked about so much on that episode. because Kiefer was coming from a place of being married.
Yeah.
And, he talked about his son, which, if he's watching, happy birthday
Happy birthday. Yes.
today. But yeah, he talked about a lot. He was like, what was the quote that he gave on that episode?
Oh man, he did.
When in doubt something.
Yeah, he gave some really good points, and I can't remember it off the top of my head either. Let me see if I wrote it in my notes, because I might have.
I think it was like, and when in doubt, be kind or something like that. But it was basically like, if you are in a situation where things are going great, like just be kind. Kindness is going to kill everything, or something like that.
Yeah. But shout out again to Kiefer West.
Yeah,
he was a great co-host for that episode, and he had a lot. He was dropping a lot of knowledge. So to him and his family, thank you. It was a great episode for him to have.
And just to shout out Kiefer, like Kiefer has been very supportive of me since I've been here in Atlanta, starting to do anything when it comes to radio or the podcast. Kiefer, Kiefer will invite himself. So I love Kiefer for that, because he's always just available when it comes to anything that I'm doing, and I love Kiefer so much.
Mm-hmm.
And so this comes to our next show, which was a very hot topic. It was a very heated podcast, and this is when Sharif came on.
Yeah, shout out to
yeah, we talked about soft tops. The title is "A Hard Bottom Makes a Soft Top," and we really kind of got into that. Was really like most of the podcast.
Yeah,
we were talking about soft tops or whatever, and what is that? What does that look like? And I think that's just something y'all really have to listen to, because honestly, I can't even read that.
Yeah, we got a little bit of flack for that one too, because I think people really, getting to know us and our dynamic, and then adding a third person into that sometimes gives a different perspective and we respect all perspectives. We respect all, feelings and their thoughts. However, I think that one was just kind of a little left field.
Yeah. So, the next one was monogamy, open relationships, polyamory, and polygamy.
Yeah, that was the variations of those are so close together. Polyamory, and the variations of those are so specific.
I think that the main thing that I got out of that episode was I felt like, for a person that wants to be, which one is the relationship? Is it polyamory or polygamy?
The only reason I remembered it is because I was reading it while we were doing it.
Whichever one leads to the marriage with multiple wives or whatever, or husbands or whatever you have. I felt like when we were talking about it, it was like the stages of actually getting to the marriage. It's almost like, you going through the dating process of being a single person.
Mm.
And that's what I got out of the episode, was just like, maybe these are the steps to actually getting to the marriage part with multiple husbands and wives or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next episode, I have to start changing the name of these podcasts.
You're the one that makes the names of it. I love it.
Do you nut in your sink?
Okay. I think that was my doing, because I think I started the conversation about the sink situation.
Was it? I thought it was for me.
Oh, it might have been.
Because we were talking about, have you ever jacked off in places, and I think I told stories about me at work and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think this came from Twitter too. Honestly,
probably, because listen to our Twitter followers. A lot of the stuff that we come up with comes from y'all.
Yeah.
Specifically,
I really appreciate my Twitter page, because y'all are amazing.
I know.
But so the next one was Friends with Benefits. And this was a really good episode, because we talked about this for a while. I think that this was a long episode, because we talked about, could you be sexual with one of your friends as like a
oh yeah, friends with benefits, yeah,
like a situation until you find somebody.
yeah.
And so,
Yeah, I think we've all been there, and it also makes me think about, because I've been thinking about this for the past couple of weeks now. Like and we've talked about this a lot on the podcast in terms of how, the intentions of a friendship, like when you first meet someone and y'all are really cool and you vibe and you like their energy and you love hanging out with them and you call them every few seconds, to see, or every couple of days to be like, hey, what you doing? Let's go out. Like they're your road dog, but then there's a building of a relationship there, obviously. But if it turns to sexual attraction, then what happens? Or if that drunk text goes through, then what happens? Like,
and then on the flip side, I talked about a lot of my friendships, my major friendships, started off with being sexual.
yeah,
and friends.
yeah. Do you think, and I'll ask you this, because I've been thinking about this a lot lately, where a lot of my interactions with people, and I'm not afraid to say this, but a lot of my interactions initially started out that way, or there has been some kind of like side-eye conversation, like or flirting or flirtation or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that problematic? Do you think that's problematic?
I mean, I think one of the biggest conversations that we had on that podcast was a lot of our friendships start off as an attraction.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
not every friendship, but more or less, the majority. And say that one more time, Eddie.
I said whether you pursued it or not, that's a different situation. But I think that a lot of us, our friendships started off.
Say that again for me, Aaron. What'd you say?
I said I think that a lot of our relationships with our friends started off as an attraction. We decided whether or not it was going to be like a sexual attraction or a friendship attraction, or depending on how things went, that's how we weathered the way with that. And so the next one is going to be Dwayne's listening to Christy on the radio.
Right.
And, if you guys want to listen to that podcast, I don't want to say what the name of that one is. We were talking about you being more open on the podcast that week. And so we started telling just different stories or whatever.
My favorite. Yeah, because I feel like I feel like you share a lot of what
what I've been through. Your thing is breaking up really bad. But yeah, I do share a lot about a lot of the things that I've been through sexually and just in my life or whatever. And so on this episode, Dwayne started really sharing, I guess, more of what he had going on in his life when it comes to just before or, now, whatever. He just started sharing a lot more. And so that episode definitely came to that. And so it was a really good episode too, because what the lady was saying on the radio was really out of the box. And so when Dwayne realized that she was doing it, he was like, well, I feel like because if Christy can do it, I can do it. And so Dwayne started really sharing more about, his sexual life and just his life in general when it comes to the podcast. Because Dwayne leaves me out on the limb every week on the podcast. I share like everything, like there's no holds barred when it comes to me, especially if we get like questions or comments or anything like that. I'm always like, listen, we're going to talk about it. We're going to answer these questions so that people can understand, where I'm coming from, what I'm talking about, things like that. And so that's where that podcast came from. And then I think the next one was this one is bad too. It's Big Dicks and Fist. But we were talking about fisting and what stuff we've seen on Twitter. and why people do it, how people do it. Is that like a fetish of anybody that they have? And for me, I was just like, I don't understand it. But I did also talk about times where I've been with people where they try to push my limitations when it comes to like sexual experiences. And I want to say we had a guest that week, but I don't have that in the comments. So I'm not really sure. But I'm almost for sure we had a guest that week, which was Phil from Talk on the Table, because I know we had a guest that's not on any of these, but and matter of fact, that can be the same one. But yeah, so we were talking about that or whatever, and we are basically just talking about people's limitations, and if that's something that you would try. If you tried it, why would you like it? If y'all are watching, give us your opinions on that, because I don't understand it. I've never really understood it. So, that's just something that we talked about for that one. And then the next topic was change your damn batteries in your smoke detector. And Dwayne brought this topic up because he's having a little technical difficulty. So I'm trying to weather the way on this guy. So bear with me. But so Dwayne brought this up because he was watching porn and the smoke detector was going off. So we talked about people changing their smoke detectors during that, during your porn or whatever, I guess. And I don't know if I'm talking and people are watching or not. Oh no, y'all still on here. Okay, so I'm gonna keep on talking. All right, so yeah, so that's what that one was from. And y'all know Dwayne's thing that went down. So if y'all are watching, help me out because I'm gonna need some feedback, some interactions. I can see what y'all saying in the comments. But yeah, have y'all ever watched porn on like Twitter or whatever, and y'all hear that doop 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 doop, doop in the background? I don't watch porn like that, so I didn't even know what Dwayne was talking about. But that was, I guess he heard that. Actually, him and our producer Rashad were talking about that, and so that's where that one came from. I'm trying to think of what else we talked about on that podcast, because it was more than just that. But I titled these podcasts based on the main thing that we talked about that week. And what's going to be like clickbait. So that's normally how I come up with the topics or the titles for the podcast. And then, so the next one is, I can talk about this one while Dwayne's not here, because this one was really funny. So this one was called "I Got Caught Having Sex." I got caught having sex one time. Someone had showed up at my house. I had no idea they were coming, but they showed up at my house and they were knocking at the door. I didn't answer the door. And then they started texting me, and I didn't answer the text messages because I'm like, this cannot be really for me. And so they ended up texting me like so many times that I actually answered the text message. And I was just like, I never knew you was becoming over here. And so we were asking our listeners on that week, like, have you ever been caught? Like, what's the funniest experience you've had with that? Because that was like so out of pocket for me. Like, I've never experienced that. And I was just really, really, really thrown off when it happened. So I have no idea what to do. We all have gotten caught having sex at some point. Yeah, and I think we reverted back to Dwayne because he was talking about his mom. Catch his mom. Oh yeah, we talked about that, and I hope my mom is not watching this. But so we talked about that, and so I told Dwayne I was going to tell the story about one time when I was younger. My mom and my dad. Well, my dad and my mom were not married when I was a kid. They didn't get married till I was like in the 3rd grade, I think. And so my cousins lived in New York. Well, my cousin from my dad's side lived in New York, and my mom's family lived here. So when they would come to Ohio, or not here because this is Atlanta, but when it comes to Ohio, we would have like sleepovers there for all the boys at my dad's house. Well, one time they did that, and my mom decided she wanted to come over, and my dad did not have. Matter of fact, I think the room that they were in was me and my sister's room when we stayed over there at my dad's house, but there was no doorknob on the door. And so my cousins get up to go to the bathroom or something. I don't know how they got to the door, but they look through the door and they see them. And it was so embarrassing for me. Like I was so mad. And so I ended up kicking the door, making a scene so that everybody can just stop what they're doing. My parents and my cousins, like everybody had to stop. And they were all mad at me, but I didn't care. It was like, this is my parents. Like, this is not something that I want to see. I don't want y'all talking about it. Like, it was just such a really horrible situation for me. And so that was like, what was that? Was that the last one? That was our last episode for season 2. So I guess now we're going to open up the floor for you guys if you have any questions for us about anything that you guys have heard on the podcast. If you have any questions, like personally for me or Dwayne, I walked in on my mom and my whole life passed me by. I was locked in my room for 3 days. After that, they were on the terrace getting it in. I really lost my mind. That's some of the same situation for me. Like, that's what my parents did to me. I was like, and this is I had to see y'all until y'all go back to New York. So it was just the worst for me because, I don't want to hear about my mom. First of all, I didn't want to see it. But then 2, I don't want to hear y'all laughing about it and talking about it like nothing like that. So it was just really like a horrible visual, a horrible memory that I ever had. And honestly, when Dwayne had told his story about his mom, the first time, I did not even remember this story because I was like, it was like embedded in the back of my mind that I just totally had forgot about it. And then I think when Dwayne told the story the second time, I remembered it, and I was like, it was happening again. My cousins used to come from the time that school let out of New York to the time that they had to go back to school. And this was every single summer. And it was like 2 groups of cousins too. So like my oldest cousin used to come and babysit all of us sometimes. Cause I'm like the middle boy. Yeah, I'm the middle boy in our family. So I have the older one, and then actually I'm the youngest one. Now to think about it. So the oldest one came at the beginning, and then the ones after him would come, but we would all be together by the time then the summer came. So, but I don't think my oldest cousin was even there at that time. I think it was just me and my 2 other cousins that was under me on my dad's side. Then my mom's side, all the boys was over there. My mom has 6 sisters. So you can imagine how many freaking kids was over there. And that blew my freaking mind. So yeah. That's what I was saying, Justin. OMFNG. You should have put an F in it. Because I will never forget that day. It's embedded in my brain. Like King said, it's embedded in my brain, bitch. It's embedded in my brain. But do you guys have any questions for us? Because I know we're getting close to the hour. We want to take this last 30 minutes to answer questions or whatever. Q1973, I know you have some questions. I read all of your dissertations of the podcast every time you post them on YouTube. And I do bring them back to the team. We do try to touch on everything that you put in there because I know you know that when we did the one with being black, gay, and conscious. We do that one especially for you. So, oh no, I see. If I have kids and they catch me having sex, I probably won't have sex for until they are out of my house. I don't want to traumatize the kid ever again in life with that. Like, I will never forget that. I don't think I could ever do my kid like that. Hi, Aaron. I noticed there was a bit of tension between you and Gavin when were you offended by the question of fisting? No. So let me answer this question. So Gavin is like my brother. Me and him both were married to pastors. So we just are really catty with each other for fun. But he was coming for me a lot. And one thing about me is, y'all know I always talk about me being a Virgo. So there's only so many times that I'm gonna keep letting you come at me before I'm gonna come back at you. I try to keep it very cute, but when it comes to the point, I'm like, now, sir, you've asked this like a million times. What's going on here? So once I get something, if Dwayne ever gets back on here, or if any of my friends are on here, they'll tell you if I get a hold of something, I'm gonna keep it going because one, you can't really talk me down off of it. But I just, it was no tension though. He's like my brother, honestly. So no, it was definitely no tension there. I just thought the fisting thing was very funny, and because of the question they asked me about the biggest one that I took, and then it was like, whoa, like you really did that. So yeah, that's all that really was. Okay, Justin said I didn't see her catch me, but each time to this day she alludes to something like she saw me. That means she probably saw you. Because I definitely know my mom and my dad knew that I saw them, because I definitely kicked that door and was loud about it, and I started crying and spazzing out on everybody because I just was not down for it. So I do want to say this, because you guys are on here. We did open up our merchandise on the website. So we have t-shirts that are on there. We have our Affairs to the Heart logo t-shirts, but I also have some other shirts that I made for my other t-shirt line. I did redo them for the podcast because I thought it'd be a lot better for this. So I want to shout out someone who just purchased a shirt, and their name is Devin. Is it Bethia, I think? But I want to shout you out for being the first person to purchase someone off of the website. And we will have your stuff sent out to you. You will have that information. As soon as we get it, I put the order in when we get all of here. So yeah. Also, I do know that a lot of you guys have been talking about the audio for the podcast. And we are working on the audio for the podcast. So the reason why I did do the store was so that we could start raising money to get better equipment for the podcast. So if you guys want to support, also you guys do know I say, and that's that on that a lot. So I did put that on that shirt on the website. So please make sure you guys check that out. And what else do you guys have for me? And Dwayne, I want your glasses. Are they on the website? No, these are not on the website. I actually got these from the mall here in Atlanta, in South Lake Mall. I got these from South Lake Mall, but I think they have these on Amazon as well. And if you inbox me, if I find the link, I will send it to you, because I think they had these on. I think they had these on Amazon. I think I saw these on Amazon. And Dwayne said he is on his way back in here, so he should be back pretty soon. I do know a lot of the other questions that we do get is about my free Twitter page, and I'm not going to give that out, but that is a lot of questions that we do get. I get inboxed about it all the time, but I don't give it out because it's like really like my storage to get rid of stuff out of my phone, honestly, and that's pretty much what it is. So I did want to say that. Also, if you guys have not subscribed to our podcast or to the podcast or to the website, make sure you guys do that. If you haven't done reviews, actually, if you guys are on Facebook, please leave a review on the Facebook page because we do need those on there. We also need it on, if you're listening on not iHeartRadio, but on Apple Podcasts, leave it on there. But we are striving to get a lot of listeners onto iHeartRadio as well because that's the #1 platform for podcasts. And you guys have any other questions or anything you heard on the podcast that you didn't know or you heard about? Let me know. I will answer it. So the other thing is, so we want to start talking about season 3 and what you guys wanted to hear in season 3. So if you guys have topics for season 3, we definitely want you guys to submit those. You can do that through our DMs on our Instagram page, on the website, or whatever pages that you guys are on. But it is really dope for you guys to actually talk to us so that we do know. Yes, I'm going to have a lot more to say once I hear the podcast. Oh, well, yeah, the podcast this is the very light version of the podcast. So if once you listen to the podcast, and I think that most people that listen to the podcast, hey, Dwayne, welcome back.
I'm back.
My computer about to go down in like 3 minutes. No, just fine. Most people want to hear one episode, then they go back and listen to all the old ones. One of the funniest things I will say is this: the very first episode, me and Dwayne were talking about this podcast, and Dwayne went through this short podcast, and I was like, Dwayne, no, I listened to a 30-minute podcast.
Okay, I didn't think, I was not a podcast fan. I mean, I don't have podcasts that I listen to on a regular, and so I really. I thought, podcast 30, 45 minutes tops. We don't need to go no long. Nobody's going to listen for that long. Boy, I was wrong. I was clearly wrong.
And I'll be asking. And I think the other question for you guys is this. We have been trying to figure out to do the visual thing and the audio thing. We know we have different audiences. So do you guys want more visual stuff or do you like the audio stuff more? Or do you want both?
For me, I wouldn't mind doing this on a decent basis.
I liked it until you let me hang it for a little while, but other than that, it was cool.
I had some technical difficulties. It happens. We will not have these problems in the future. But
coming back, like I didn't end it. Like, what's going on here?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I think definitely, we're trying to think about, what do you guys want to see for season 3?
Yeah, that's why I was just asking them what they will see for season 3. We only got 2 people really commenting, and I really wish everybody else would. But I also see that people are commenting on my thing, but it's not going to this. So let me go through this and see.
Hey, wait a minute. Did you answer?
So Josh Glover asked, yes, there will be a season 3. We're not actually taking a break, guys, because we know that's not going to be a good thing. Well, you look surprised.
No, me?
Yeah, you. I ain't see nobody else but you.
I don't mind taking a break, but we know how to do it. Like we will stockpile the podcast recordings.
Well, I want you to hear this, Josh Glover, because this is not coming up on here. Josh Glover said,
where did he comment?
He commented on the watch party that I posted, and I wish I would have been looking at it because I didn't see none of this.
Because it's on your watch party, so those comments won't. They only come up if they're watching like live. Because it's a watch party is a separate thing. So yeah, that's why. My bad.
Well, yeah, he said, will there be a season 3? He said because I'm a biggest fan. Y'all speak the truth.
Oh, thanks, Josh.
Joe White said, hey. Jazzy K. Ward said, hey. Then Thomas Warren said, Dwayne said he's coming.
Oh,
comments. If y'all are watching, go to the actual fan page, Affairs of the Heart, so that y'all's comments come in so we can see them while we're on here.
Okay, so I'm gonna pop up. Q has another question or a question that he wants to pop in, so I'm gonna put it in, put it there for you. He has another topic. It's kind of lengthy. I don't know. Can you read the whole thing? I'll read it to you because I don't think it's all there.
Okay.
But he has another topic. It's kind of lengthy. But is dating an HIV person a deal breaker? And is it discriminatory to prefer not to date an HIV person? That is actually, we have had that kind of conversation. I think
he should know that because he listens to the podcast. So he should know that. We've had this conversation.
Episode 7.
But if you want us to say it live on the here, we both said yes, I think, right?
Said yes to what exactly?
Dating someone who's HIV positive.
Yes. Yeah. And discriminatory, to answer your question, Q, yes. But we'll talk about it further in the podcast. That is a form of discrimination. And we can dig deeper into why that is a form of discrimination, but it is. It's not. It surpasses preference when it's something that can't be helped at this point. It's not like it's it's not what you prefer. I mean, obviously you could prefer someone who is not, but it is also discriminatory not to at least take into consideration someone that is, especially when there is several things out there or several ways for you to educate yourself on how to protect yourself if someone that you're dating is positive and not positive, or vice versa. Okay, so there answers that.
And then we have Justin's question. It says, in this day and age and coronavirus, helping an artist who usually works with audiences that needs to be present get to a place where they could learn how to take their skills to podcasts or Facebook Live, etc. Do you do an episode that builds them up?
Jason, I think we can, and we can also talk personally about what other avenues there are to do. And if I can do a shameless plug on my company, Swank Arts and Entertainment, that's kind of what I've been doing in this time frame, giving people platforms on a digital space or internet space for them to be able to share their talents and things of such nature. We'll talk offline about that, but we can definitely talk about it, because I know that not only yourself, but there's a lot of our friends are suffering right now, especially with the news that Broadway may not come back until January. So I got you, friend. Just hit my inbox and we'll talk
about it. Okay, so Q 1973 said he likes the visual.
Yes, Q likes the visual. So this, and I like, honestly, Aaron, I like it too. But
I mean, I like this too. Someone, Crucial Conflict said the graphics is great right now. Keep it up.
Thanks, Crucial.
Okay, thank you so much. So, I mean, we're going to have to take this in consideration. I mean, like I've always been saying, I think that we should do both, because there's an audience for audio people who like to listen, and there's also audience for people who want to watch.
Right.
And so, I think that, this is an option. So, I mean, we struggled for the last 2 days to figure out how to really do this, but we got here and we're here. We're here and we're queer.
And that's that on that.
So I think that for me, the biggest thing is just trying to get people onto the lives, because one, I really wish you went on live from my Twitter page.
I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, because that's where a lot of people follow this from. But like, I tried to share it on here, but I think normally when I post from my page is different. So we'll have to figure out the kinks of this. Also, one thing that I have been talking to Dwayne about, and you guys that are watching, especially you, Q1973, I'm trying to put together a focus group. People that can kind of give us some insight on what you like, what you don't like. And also, just to push the podcast, weekly or whatever, so that when we are doing this, it's more beneficial to the people that are watching and listening when it comes to the podcast. Because I mean, when I tell you one thing that I want is, I got to go to I want to do this too. So, well, let me finish this. I'm all over the place sometimes, guys.
Like, what's happening?
I forgot what I was just talking about now.
You just went somewhere. Where'd you go?
One thing I was trying to say was what?
While you think about that, hang on 2 seconds. I do want to rectify because Q asked really about, and I'm assuming it's to my comment about dating someone that's HIV positive and being discriminatory. And if that sounded harsh, I don't want it to sound harsh, but I think you need to also consider the thoughts of the person that is positive, and it's, you know, they could be positive for, you know, various reasons. It's not something they chose, and they could have been raped. There's various reasons as to why people are positive, but I think when you discriminate against someone and say that you don't want someone that is positive or you prefer someone that is negative, that does leave, you know, a discriminatory taste in someone's mouth. It's not, I mean, I understand, I respect your preference if you choose not to deal with someone that is positive. However, that is a form of discrimination. So
I want to, and I also want to say this. I think that if it's something that you're not comfortable with, don't do it, because you don't want to put that person through more stress than they already have to go through.
Right.
Like,
so don't pity them.
That's that.
Yeah.
I was thinking what I was thinking about last. I don't remember what the middle thought I had was, but what's going through the reviews and the ratings of the podcast. So I did want to read some of the reviews that we got on here. If you guys are listening who wrote reviews, but we had Cordiva Capri, and they said, okay, so I started following So Debonair on Twitter. Oh, this is for me on Twitter for a few weeks. I'm just reading what's I didn't even know for a few weeks, and all I can say is, wow, I feel everything that this young man posts about, and his podcast I definitely can connect with. I'm glad we have a podcast like this. We have, I think this is Just Music. And it says, the dynamic between Aaron and Dwayne is so organic. The dialogue provides well-rounded perspectives on relevant dating issues many encounter today. Well done. We have Mr. Holly White. He said, this podcast is funny, enlightening, and what? I don't think this is even a real word, but basically saying kudos to us. That's not, whatever he posted, it was not a real word. And I'm sorry if he's watching, but maybe he wanted to go back and edit it or something. I don't know. So we have Prince CJ, and he said, if you're looking for a podcast with so many discussions, topics, and crazy stories, LOL, you want to tune into this podcast. It's dope, fresh, real, with conversations that need to be spoken on. Definitely A+. Keep winning. One of my favorite podcasts to date. We have CM Bowie. They said, I want to commend the both of you, Dwayne and Aaron, for your energy, professionalism, and knowledge and humor. The topics you explore are definitely what our community needs to hear. I want to say thank you and keep doing what you're doing. I so look forward to each and every episode. Then we have Patrick L. Adonis, and he said, OMG, you guys are wild. I think that part was for me. He said, you all had me laughing and glued to every word. I love every single minute of it. You two bring such I think he meant yin yang POV to sex and relationships, and I absolutely love it. I'm way liberal, so I was definitely learning a lot more of the freedom aspect than Dee's more traditional stance. But love them both. You need a variety because it's the spice of the life, and you two definitely bring the spice. Bravo. And I'm gonna stop there. We can read some more later on, but I just want to read a few of them because what y'all don't realize is that these reviews mean everything, because we want to know what you guys are feeling. And there was actually one on here that was talking about the audio, and we were like, we got to do something about it. Like, everything y'all post, are y'all saying in the Q 1973? You should know.
Hang on. Speaking of Q, real quick, there was something. I think there was a comment that he made. He just said that we didn't answer his first question, and I had to scroll up really quick to see what he was talking about.
Okay.
So he asked this question. This is actually a question for you.
For me?
So, yeah.
Hey, Aaron, I noticed that. No, we talked about this already. But
Did you talk about it already? Okay.
talk about this.
Okay. So I'm not quite sure what you're talking about, Q. I'm sorry. I missed this first topic. It's not in the comments here. So okay. Go back to you, Aaron. What were you saying?
I'm just saying that we love the reviews because it gives us a direction as to where we need to go, what we're doing good, and what we're not doing good. So please keep leaving reviews. Like I said, I see that some of you guys are signed on from Facebook. Q, we know you're going to respond on YouTube, so we're good on that. But please keep leaving those reviews and keep letting us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. I mean, if it's real wrong, email us. But we love the feedback because it gives us a kind of direction as to what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, so we can kind of stay on track.
I also want to mention in that same vein, we can't please everybody.
Yeah.
So we understand that you
do try our best.
We do what we can. Yeah. But we understand that you have an opinion about our podcast. We can't please everybody. We'll do the best that we can to make sure that you have a quality of a program that you want to continue to listen to. And that's just that on that. We're here. We wouldn't be here without you guys. So we realize that. We acknowledge that. We appreciate you for listening. We appreciate you taking your time out of your day and really kind of divulging into our podcast. We also want to mention the fact that our visuals, like if you see our YouTube clips, that's not the podcast. Yeah. So make sure that you go to the affairsoftheheartpodcast.com, find your preferred podcast listening platform, listen to the podcast there. That way, we get those numbers up also. Those video clips that you see on YouTube are specifically just recaps of the actual podcast recording. So
we don't mind the fact that if you listen to the podcast and then do what Q1973 does and just, give us a recap of what you thought, even if it's not on that specific podcast. Like we read it. So we pay attention to everything. But I do want to say this while the people that's not on YouTube are watching, subscribe on YouTube. Please subscribe on subscriptions on YouTube. We have to hit 1,000 because we need to hit 1,000 subscribers. So the more that you guys subscribe, the more we can really do, because YouTube kind of caps you off of they don't give you all the capabilities of doing everything you can do on there until you hit that 1,000 mark, that 1,000 subscribers mark. So,
yeah. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then also, share it with a friend, have a conversation, say, hey, I heard about this podcast. I was listening to this particular topic. What are your thoughts? Bring us topics. Of course, we'd love to hear from you guys, as Aaron has said 1,000 times, probably while I was gone. So. What else? Anything to recap from season 2? How do you feel about it?
I felt like season 2 was very it was like for me, I let everything out, I'm here, I'm ready to experience season 3. I'm excited about where we're going to go with season 3 because I don't know where we're going to go yet.
Yeah, it is to be determined. Q responded. And he had a topic regarding sex.
I didn't see the sexual relationship. Did you see it?
I didn't see it either. Q, give us your topic again. Just toss it in there, and so we can figure out what you're talking about, my friend.
I did. I mean, honestly, I did. I mean, I think season 2 was season 1 was very short. It was are y'all going to listen or not, kind of thing, right? We realized that y'all was listening, then I started really kind of giving y'all my personality. And I think that one thing that I always tell people is this podcast is really me just letting everything out. The fact that people know that I have a Twitter page floating around here, I would never say that, but people know that I do. And then the fact that I even am very free on here is just, I would do that with my personal friend group, But I mean, you have to really get to know me to know that. But I feel like because you guys are listening, I'm going to give you guys a piece of me. So, well, I think all of me at this point.
even parts you don't want.
What's going on, Howard Turner? I got to watch my phone and this now.
Yeah. So we definitely want to make sure that season 3 is what you want. We want to keep giving you raw conversations, real conversations. So make sure that you continue to let us know what you want to hear about, what you want to talk about. We're going to continue.
A good thing to say is this: everything that you guys hear is current. Like we record every week,
right?
So the stuff that y'all hear, like when y'all hear me like spazzing out, that happened that week.
When he's having meltdowns, it happened that week.
Yeah, it happened probably that day. I like that comment.
You see how I looked over like, okay, well, we're not going to acknowledge that. Jason, I'm not putting that up there, and we are not talking about that. That's that on that. But listen, guys, we enjoy doing this podcast for you. It does get a bit stressful for Aaron and I, but we enjoy doing this podcast. We enjoy making sure that you guys are entertained, and that you have something to get you through your week, get through your day. We always talk about how people text us in real time while they're listening to it when we don't even know what the hell is going on, So we appreciate it, and we really do enjoy it. We love it.
I don't want to say this too, like a lot of because about that. Like sometimes y'all text us or y'all will inbox us about the podcast, and like my mind be already on like the next episode or what's going on in my life at this time, and I'd be like, wait, where is this coming from? Like, is somebody talking about me? But I be forgetting, like after I let it out, I really be forgetting about it.
Yeah. It is really a form of therapy. Our podcast is definitely a form of therapy for us. Q's comment.
Yeah. He said, I had a topic regarding being in a sexless relationship, and is sex important to you? Have we talked about this?
Sexless? I don't think so, actually. I could be wrong.
Oh no, we didn't talk about this. I talked about this on my radio show. So I've had a relationship like that. Where it came to the point where we weren't really having sex like that because I was just not impressed by the sex. And so can you have a relationship like that? Yes, but I think that you need to be working on how to fix that, because I don't think that's a good place to be in.
I mean, I would consider your friendship sexless relationship, so yes.
Well, are we talking about romantic relationships or friendships?
I mean, I'm quite sure that he's talking about romantic relationships. However, the equivalent, I mean, the components of your your friendships, your best friendships are the same as the components as your
well, the second part to that is sex important to you? I can't really say that it is. I mean, I think, especially in a relationship standpoint, that it is. Like, I think being in a relationship for 10 years, sex was not like even number 3 on that list.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, again, I think it's the components of that. It was high on the list, but not the first thing that defines the list. So I get it.
Right. But still, I mean, even to me, in a relationship, sex is not important to me. As much that I talk to y'all about it, I mean, I talk about it like on the podcast, a lot of that's from my past. Like, it's not in my present. Well, I haven't been dating my present either, so I don't really know. But I don't think. I mean, in my relationship, it wasn't that. That wasn't one like the number one things that just it was going to make or break the relationship.
Okay. So. All right, Q.
What did you say? What is his name? Justin, or what did you say it was?
Jason.
Jason. He said there is a difference. They are very different. I can't do my friends. And we've talked about this on the podcast. So I know he's going to go back and listen. I'm going to need the veneer on my couch to diagnose these things. I mean, again, I think when it comes to friends, it depends on how that works out, because a lot of my friends, we started off sexually and then we became friends. So.
Right. I think it just varies. It's a different situation. Yeah. He was talking romantic. I figured that's what he meant. Yeah. But again, I just personally believe, and again, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychoanalyst. However, I think the components of your relationships are the same. Trust, intimacy in some kind of way, dealing with, but not intimacy sexually, but intimacy in like caring and supporting and believing, and you have an emotion attached to that person. So,
well, I'm gonna give you what I give you on the podcast. Well, I feel like it's not. I mean, sex is just not that. It's not the make or break situation for me.
I agree.
And me in my house, because I say that a lot on the podcast as well. But I just don't feel like that. I feel like there are so many more important elements when it comes to a relationship, especially when it's a long-lasting relationship.
Yeah, I agree. Jason is going to listen to the podcast one by one and take notes and deliberate.
Well, that first one is very short. But yeah, I mean, definitely, and please share with your friends about the podcast. Make sure you guys please subscribe to the YouTube channel so that we can hit that 1,000 mark, so that we can really do some things with you guys. And then if you do have topics, affairsoftheheartpodcast.com. It's been scrolling through the whole time. Inboxes on there. If you're on Twitter, inbox me, so debonair. I will check the Affairs of the Heart one, but I'm normally on my page most of the time. You can go on to the Affairs of the Heart on Instagram and inbox or DM us on there. And then you can actually inbox us here on Facebook as well too. So whatever topics y'all have, big or small, let us know. I'm down to talk about it. If I don't know about it, I will look it up.
Nothing is taboo. So get ready for season 3. Yeah, that's really all.
What do you think that we're going? We haven't talked about it, but this will be something for them to look forward to. What do you think we're going to? What is your idea for season 3?
I
think that this is an option right here.
I was gonna say be a little bit more innovative.
Yeah.
I think kind of getting out of what we are known to do. I mean, obviously having 2 components, like this being the visual, and then the actual podcast being the actual podcast. I think that would be a different spin on things, and see how the response goes there. And having the conversations, obviously we probably won't post them everywhere, but having the conversation.
Maybe we could do something with just our subscribers.
Yeah. Because actually, and I can say this because I'm watching the numbers. There are people watching on our YouTube channel right now. So shout out to those that are watching on our YouTube.
That I hate that I can't see these numbers.
You can.
I hate it.
You can scroll over that little eye in the top corner. I mean, it's back then.
That's not on mine.
It's not on yours. Okay. All right. We'll do
that person. So I love to see it, but I can't see none of it. I'm like, it's just me and Dwayne talking at this point. Like, and Q's 1973 and
Jason.
Yes, that's all I can see. and who's ever commented on my watch party on Facebook. But yeah, um, I think that I'm excited about this because I feel like it gives us a chance to really interact with
Yeah.
people who listen and watch. Um, which is going to be interesting, especially when we're having conversations like we have.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. I agree.
This time I'm not sending these glasses, but I will look on YouTube. I mean, on Amazon if they have them.
And we'll make it, we'll get it better. This was the trial and error. We wanted to come as decent as possible initially.
I do want to say to you, Dwayne, in front of everybody, though, kudos to you for figuring this out. You did a way better job than I did.
Listen, if y'all could know what we have been through in the last 24 hours, trying to figure out how to make this cohesive and how to make it work on platforms. Obviously, there's some things to work out. I think DJ, our friend Dwayne, one of our friends Dwayne on Facebook said, shh to the background noise because he was trying to listen. But we appreciate you guys, and we want to come with there's just a level of expertise that we just have to have, to make sure we come to you correct. So
I mean, literally, like the background that y'all saw, I made that within like minutes.
Yeah.
Like we literally put all this stuff together today to make sure that we gave you guys some quality in everything. So
yeah,
I hope y'all like it. I'm excited about this. I know it's going to get better as time goes on, but like it just looks great to me. It looks like we're on the flyers that we post every week.
Right. So make sure you subscribe. Again, go to the affairsoftheheartpodcast.com. Subscribe. We need your subscriptions. We'll continue to do platforms like this so that you guys can have some virtual interaction with us and talk about topics that you want to talk about. And Q said, can we do some more?
Okay, let me do this part right here.
Okay, all right.
Q 1973. We do half and half because we have to be able to
appeal
give everybody something. Although we do read what you say and we try to implement a lot of things that you post, because honestly, and Dwayne can tell you, when you post, I send it to Dwayne and I try to implement everything up. We cannot do it in the same week, but we do try to, and whatever you write, we try to put it in that but most of the podcast is not really about sex, I don't think. I think the titles are sex. But most of the podcasts, I don't feel like it's sexy. Do you think so?
And I think that to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, we do have to appeal to everybody. We do talk about impactful things. We have talked about voting, and our community. We've talked about, life lessons that we've learned. We've talked about, building credit, and we've talked about a lot of things that are impactful. And just because they may not be impactful to, they're not going to be impactful to everybody, but we try to reach everybody's demographic.
And I think that what you don't realize is the inboxes that I get.
Yeah, we do get a lot of inboxes.
After we have these conversations, because some people do it like you do it in front of everyone. The way this question is written is loaded. Wait, what question?
That was Blair. Hey, Blair.
What are you talking about?
The way the question was written is loaded, meaning the question that I believe he's asking the question. Yeah, the question that Q asked is it's a very loaded question.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, like I can say this, that one thing I do appreciate about Q is that he's here every week. Like I can't argue with that. And we try to answer, or we try to implement some of the stuff that you talk about. We don't do everything that you post, but we try to put some of that into every podcast, because a lot of questions that you do have are really great questions. Yeah. But we're not about to we can't have a whole podcast of whatever you want to talk about. We have to have a balance. And I mean, even if you think about me and Dwayne, we balance out each other. So that's basically just how everything works out. But again, I mean, I think even when you came on, I acknowledge you so much, because you are so consistent when it comes to this podcast. And so because you are, whenever you write, I'm like, Dwayne, I want to read you this letter. Like, we got to get something out of here. So we do try to do that every time that you write something.
Yeah, Jason asked the question.
Do you guys review albums, concerts, shows, new media, TikTok? We don't really do that, right? I mean, we never really done that. We normally just do like relationships and sex. That's just like our thing.
Not to say that we can't, however, I think just on to kind of to add to what Aaron is saying, I think it becomes a very, to me, this is my personal opinion, I think it becomes a little difficult to keep up with it because every day there's something new at this point. We can talk about we have talked about albums and certain, like we talked about Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce.
Actually, we talked about TikTok before.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
We actually did a whole series for we did a whole YouTube series for things people could do during quarantine, and TikTok was one of those things. So.
Yeah. So we can, but it's not our area of expertise. I think that Aaron said it best. Our focus is our relationships and sex.
Well, I think that when it comes to podcasting, there's a niche for people have a niche that they listen for. So if we did everything, we wouldn't really have an audience because it would be so much for people to like figure it out. And even when you have to sign up to podcasts, there are categories. And so our category is sexuality. So we talk about relationships, dating, and sex for our community and things like that. And sometimes, and that's why we ask you guys for things that you want to talk about, because it is stuff that we want to make sure that, it's going to be something that you're going to listen to, or it's going to entertain you, or whatever, or educate you. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, is this it? Are we good? You want to?
I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I don't mind. I'm
gonna let you plug the website so that you can talk about some new stuff that we're getting into for season 3 and that's already posted.
Well, I actually talked about it when you had went down because I didn't really have a lot to talk about. But I don't know if everybody heard it, but and Blair, you're gonna love this. So the t-shirts are back. So you guys can go onto the affairsoftheheartpodcast.com. Make sure we have our logo t-shirts. We have a lot of the sayings that we have on the podcast on t-shirts. One that I love the most, and I thought I almost forgot about it. And before the show started, I was like, I had to put this on the t-shirt. Remember the episode we had where we tried to have quotes?
You're trying to have votes?
We try to have quotes at the end of the show.
Oh, quotes, yes.
And I told y'all what the key to my soul was. So, well, we have our. So we have our merchandise now, guys. So, and honestly, what this is going to do is help us to get better equipment, help us to do a lot more things that we're going to do in the future with the podcast. So make sure you guys go onto the website, theafairsoftheheartpodcast.com. We're going to be updating the website a lot more now with the blog and with the merchandise thing. I think there's about 10 t-shirts on there now, and some hoodies, I think, but it's getting hot, so you probably want a hoodie. But we're gonna there's gonna be a lot of stuff on there, but go ahead and check it out. Try to support us if you guys can, and that's that on that.
Guys, it has been our honor and our pleasure to have you guys listening to our podcast. Make sure you go to theafairsoftheheartpodcast.com for all of your podcast needs and where to listen, and visit the store for our new t-shirts and so on and so forth. I'm your boy DQ, and here's to season 3, the closing of season 2, and here's to season 3. It's going to be a lot better. I don't even know. It's going to be a whole bunch of situations for season 3. But we appreciate you guys for listening, and stay tuned for more. Again, check us out, theafairsofheartpodcast.com. Subscribe, like, share, send it to your friends. And that's it. We out.
And everybody that's on that Facebook, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel, please. And leave reviews on the Facebook fan page as well.
All right.
Bye.
Later.